Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I hope you all had the most amazing Wednesday ever. This is our first time doing this like this.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
our first time doing it, but our
Like
first
on
time
this
doing it
platform
like
with
this.
the lights and the cameras and stuff.
Crystal back there and Desiree up there and shot it up. I'm telling all our business. But listen, let me tell y'all how this conversation came about. Okay? Pauletta has been for a minute trying to get me to go live on my page about grief. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've been hesitant because I don't want to be the poster child for grief. I know everybody know I've lost so many people. And so I think that I know that there's people who look at me as an example to keep going because I get inboxes from people, literally, when I say all over the world, for real, all over the world, people that I didn't even know was watching me. I've been in other states that I've never been before, and people recognized who I am, and they have connected to me to losing my husband, and it's crazy, and I'm just like, how do you know me? But you don't know who's watching you, and that's been a testament to me of that. And so Pauletta was trying to get me to really talk about this because, of course, she knew some people that lost their husband, I think, for sure. And then it's just some people she noticed just struggling. They're struggling with moving on. And her wanting me to talk about it, I guess, is she feel like I've done well. Maybe that's why she want me, maybe that's why she want me to share. So tonight I'm going to share. She's going to kind of lead the conversation. I also ask her to give her expertise on it too, because I want us to be very balanced. I don't want us to be God, and not talk about therapy and not talk about the natural stuff that we can do to help us move forward and get past things. So I want it to be a very balanced conversation. And if you know me, it's going to be a transparent conversation, and I'm going to be just as real as I can be. And at some point, we're going to stop. And Crystal is watching the live as well as a couple of others. So those of you who have questions, at about 6:45 or so, we're going to start taking questions. So you'll need to type your question in the chat so that they can see it. So we may not be able to answer every question. So I don't want you to be like, they ain't ask my question, they ain't ask my question. Look, we ain't going to get everybody questions.
Right.
But if you really do have a question, Crystal will look at that. She'll be deciding which ones to give us. And we'll go back and look at it so that we can pick up some questions that we may not get to ask, and maybe we need to do a part two. I know just about every person I know have experienced grief of some sort. And when we say grief, and we may want to touch on this as well, all grief is not losing a person. Some grief, I've learned, is losing expectation. You can grieve expectation. You can grieve what you thought your life would be. I remember when I turned 40, I thought when I turned 40, I'd be like, no, I was depressed because my life was nowhere I wanted it to be or where I thought it would be at 40. I grieved the life I thought I should have had. So let's talk about grief in so many different aspects. Okay, but so that it can touch everybody. Because I don't think people really understand what grieving is. It's not just, there is a grief associated with losing a physical person.
Right.
But there's a grief associated with losing a relationship, with losing a lifestyle,
job.
with losing a job, with losing what you thought you would be and become. So there's a lot you can tie the spirit of grief to.
I was reading somewhere that even cancer patients, grieve, especially women losing their breast.
I can only imagine that.
Losing their hair. So, like you said, grief isn't just relegated just to, losing someone. But I want to go back to the day that you got the phone call. You on the phone with Sean. Let's start there, and then we'll kind of move forward.
It was a Tuesday. It was a Tuesday. We had came from Destiny Pushers. And the title of that Destiny Pushers conference was Everything Has Changed. Do y'all hear that? Everything has changed. And I vividly remember Sophia asking me a question in the marriage session. And my response to her, I think it was in the marriage session, or it may have just been in a session period. But I remember saying to her, I don't care who I got to lose. I'm going to stay in purpose. Somebody reminded me of that. I think it was you, Crystal, that reminded me of that statement. And when I tell you the devil came for that statement in 2 days, literally, okay? So anyway, I had been gone all week because remember, we get down to Destiny Push on Monday.
Right.
So we conference Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we trying to get us a little vacay.
Right,
All right. And so we was there a week. And Sean was on a trip with his friends. They went deep sea fishing like Monday through Wednesday. And then he went deep sea fishing with the men from church like Thursday through Saturday. So he was gone all week and I was gone all week. We hadn't seen each other all week long. Okay, so that Sunday, remember you and I was coming back, and we had all that stuff in the car from the conference, and he met us at the church. He met us at the church. He unloaded everything. He unloaded the car, wouldn't let us touch nothing. Do you remember that? He was like, don't touch nothing. He took everything out of the car, unloaded. He probably just missed me, child. But he took everything out of the car. You know it now, for real. That's him. He took everything out of the car and put it in, and then we left or whatever. And so we was having dinner. And he started complaining of his arm hurting. And during that time, you had given me that cream.
Two old goats.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. But because I'd done hair for 25 plus years, I know I had carpal tunnel symptoms really bad sometimes.
Right.
And you gave me that, and it helped me. And he was telling me about his arm. And I said, try that stuff that Pauletta gave me.
Never thought it could be anything more
Never
than
thought
just,
anything else.
He might have pulled a muscle. Okay.
Yeah, and so he was doing this. This is the crazy thing. In the Destiny Pushers group, I posted a video where he was saying something to the women that was married. He was like, okay, when you get home, you know what you got to do. I ain't going to repeat what he said. But if you go back and watch that video, in the video, he's reaching in my book bag, getting the cream, okay, while he talking mess, okay? And so he complained his arm was hurting, and I was like, get some of that stuff Pauletta gave me, just rubbing the arm, da-da-da. Well, the way our house is made, it's open, so you can see from one room to the other. So I was cleaning off the counter, speed the story up, cleaning off the counter, watching him in the room, and I turned and I was like, you good? And he said, yeah, I'm good. Well, further on into the night, he grabs his chest while we're in bed. But when he grabs his chest, he slides down off the bed. And so I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? He was like, my chest. And I was like, what does it feel like? Does it feel like indigestion or does it feel like tightening? And he was just like, indigestion. But he stayed there for a moment. And we had our family over the week before. We never buy sodas, but we had sodas because my family come, they bring sodas. So I said, there's a Sprite in the pantry. Drink the Sprite and see if they'll help you. He drank the Sprite. Of course, he was just like, oh, it made me feel a little better. Well, I woke up about 11 o'clock at night. The light was on. He was sitting on the side of the bed. I said, are you okay? What's wrong? He said, my chest still hurt. And I said, hey, I could take you to the emergency room. We go back and forth like that. He was like, no, I'm good, whatever. I was like, well, honey, if you ain't been going to the emergency room, I need you to go downstairs because I'm trying to go to sleep. So anyway, he goes downstairs, get up next morning, same routine, go to work. He calls me and says, I'm going to go to the doctor. I told my doctor how I'm feeling. I told her what was going on. She told me to come. He went. He called me around about 1, and he said his EKG came back perfect. He said, my EKG came back perfect. I said, wow, good. And he said, well, I'm going to go on back to work. And so then about 4 o'clock, he called and said, it was 4:06. I remember vividly because I looked directly at my clock on my laptop at my desk. He called, and he said, hey, UAB, my doctor just called, told me to get to UAB immediately. My blood work shows signs of heart failure and heart damage, which meant he had a heart attack.
So at this moment, what are you thinking?
Nothing, because I'm calm.
Okay.
I tell people, if you're ever in a crisis, I'm the person to call, because I don't care what it is. I'm going to be just like this. It could be blood and guts. Am I lying?
Nope.
I'm going to be just like this.
Nope.
It could be
anything.
I'm going to be
just as even
kill. That's trauma. That's good and bad,
right.
but that's because of so
Right.
much trauma. But I'm going to always be like this. So I'm always chill.
Okay.
I really am.
Okay.
And so that happened like that. I work right around the street from UAB. So I said, okay, I'm going to give it about 20 minutes, and then I'm going to leave to give you time to get there. Of course, COVID is going on. This is 2021, August 2021. and COVID is still raging. And so when I get there, they won't let me in. And I'm telling y'all, when I look back on it, it's so crazy. Because on the way, at this time, our parking deck had been demolished, so we had to get on a bus to get to the lot where our cars were. I remember how eerie I felt going from my job to my car.
So that was the first feeling that
It was such an eerie feeling that came over me. I remember that vividly. Like, I was just like, what is that? I can't explain it. I know now,
Right.
but it was eerie. Ooh, it was so eerie. That's what I remember. And then when I pulled up at UAB, I got out because they wouldn't let me come in. Instantly, when they wouldn't let me come in, I started crying. Mm-hmm. That ain't me. You got to know me. This is crazy. I start crying. I call him on the phone, and he was like, what's wrong? And I'm like, they won't let me in. Y'all, that ain't me. That is not me. I promise you. But I felt something.
Right.
But I was like, they won't let me come in. They won't let me. He was like, hey, calm down, baby. It's fine. I'm going to be fine. I'll keep you posted. Go home.
Right.
Well, of course, I'm tired as all get out from Destiny Pusher. So I'm home. I fall asleep. But Sean is constantly calling me back to back to back to back. I was getting irritated, but I didn't show him I was getting irritated.
Right.
But I was because he kept waking me up. Now I understand, though. And then he finally calls and says the doctor wants to speak to you. Doctor, get on. Tell me, Miss Gates, it's serious. He has fluid around his lungs. He had a heart attack. You know, he telling me all this. How you think I act?
Just as even.
Chill. I'm chill. I was like, okay. He gets back on the phone. I already told Chris that I got to change my whole diet.
So automatically in your mind, you start going into strategic planning.
In my mind, I start immediately going into the shift that I may have to make.
Which is what happens every time. So you never really get to feel the
I
death
instantly start thinking about, instantly my mind, because that's how my mind works. Instantly my mind goes to management mode.
Right.
I'm like, okay, we may need to sell the house. We may have to adjust some things. I was prepared because
Do
he
whatever.
deserved that.
Right.
He deserved that.
Right.
If I had to shift my life, I didn't at any point feel like I had been cheated. I didn't.
Okay.
Because what I know, like I know my name is, he would have done the same thing for me. I know that, okay? But because he had been so good to me, I was full on in to adjusting whatever adjustment needed to be made.
Okay.
And which is what I told him. Hey, we're going to be good.
Right.
I'm good. He goes, then he sends me this text on my phone. I'm sorry for putting you through this. I apologize. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, hey, look, don't start. You know, I said, don't start that. Don't start. He was like, I believe he knew because he just, this spill.
Right.
And so then I noticed when I woke up that next day, like at 5 a.m., he had texted me at 1 a.m. So I immediately texted him and said, are you up? Well, you know, I ain't seen it before he called. And he called, and we just talking. And in the midst of the phone call, I just hear, and then I don't hear anything anymore. And I was like, Sean. I know what happened though. I immediately start crying.
Right.
All right? I never once considered the phone could have just dropped. I knew it.
That's so crazy.
It's crazy, okay? But here I am. I'm calling Chris upstairs. He's not answering. Calling T, she not answering. Calling you, you're not answering. Okay? I'm all out bawling now. No, you called me back.
Oh,
I'm all out bawling now. I'm bawling. I'm crying. With no news. But I don't know how to explain this. When you're connected to somebody, I felt him leave. That's the only thing. I knew what I heard.
Right.
But I felt it.
Right.
Okay? I felt him leave. And so you called me back and you was like, hey, what's up? Yeah, I was bawling, wasn't I?
Yeah.
I was like, I need a ball. You said, hey.
And I was calm.
Hey,
I was just saying, you're doing too
he
much.
may not have had a charger.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Yep.
You remember now, he did go to the emergency room on a whim. I said, she offered me hope. And against everything that I already knew, I received the hope that maybe so she said, I'm going to go down to the UAB because, you know, I live behind God's back.
Way behind.
She said, I'm going to go down to UAB because I can get there quicker. Tell them that's my brother. See what's going on. She gets down there. She calls. She said, hey, they going back to check on them. They never come back out and say anything to her. They called me. And that's when I got the phone call. And, of course, I lost it. I do remember that I lost it so to the point that it woke Chris up. Now, what all transpired after that,
I don't know.
I really don't remember. I remember in bits and pieces.
What's the next thing you do remember?
I remember Chris grabbing me and putting me on the floor and grabbing a pillow. And he said, lay down, mama. Lay down. That's what he did. Like, this was like, I think this was on the floor in front of the steps, like when you walk in the house. That's what I do remember. I remember him grabbing me and like holding me and giving me a pillow. And he said, lay down, mama. You had to ask him why he did that. But I remember that.
I think for me, when I heard it, because I had left and I was headed back to the car, and that's when you called me and was like, he's gone. And it still took a minute for it to register, because I'm like, Sean ain't dead, because Sean ain't dying. You know what I mean? Like, Sean, no.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember Chris coming, and I was there by myself for a long time. And I remember just pacing up and down, back and forth. And I remember
What were you thinking? Standing out there.
Just questioning God, like, why? And then I went into, okay, let me go into planning mode, because, like, I need to be the strong. Oh, okay. I need to be. Put that back up. So I remember
for real,
thinking,
when I started talking about Chris and the pillow, I was like,
I remember thinking.
I had to take a big swallow.
I remember thinking, for real though, I remember thinking that I needed to be the strong friend this time, that I needed to be able to hold you up. So I just was real. I got it all out, and so you were calling back, hey, Pauletta, make sure this doesn't happen. And I was just like, okay, real Kevin. But I knew then that this was going to be a different response. This is a different death.
I knew it was a different
know.
death because I've never been out of control.
Right.
Like, then that's what my son said.
Yeah.
He said, you were out of control.
Right.
To the point that, and I hope his dad don't mind me saying this. Well, if he do, child, I don't know what to say. But anyway, his dad, which is my ex-husband, he called his dad. And he said, because of my screams, his dad just wept. He said, my dad was crying so hard because he could hear you. And he was like, all you kept saying was, not my husband, God, not my husband, God, not my husband, God. He said, you was just screaming to the top of your lungs. He said, so to the point that my dad just wept because he could hear you. And so that kind of tells you, you know me.
Yeah.
I'm not that person. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the fall out on the floor, scream person, but this one broke me.
Yeah, and I think it's because you've never had the opportunity to grieve. Like, you know, with your mom and your sisters, like you were in management mode. But this one, I think it was the shock and the out of nowhereness that just had you.
But do you remember, was it a month before that I called you that morning going to work? Because we used to talk every morning. And I called you that morning going to work as usual. And I said, hey, man, I said when I woke up, because this is how God deals with me. Like I opened my eyes and I can hear the voice of God so audibly. This is, I don't know about anybody else. Like I'm talking about time I open my eyes. I can hear the voice of God audibly. That's a lot of times how God tell me stuff. And I know it's God because it'll sit on me like a weight and I can't shake it. So I know when it's collard greens and cornbread versus when it's God.
Right.
When it's God, it's a weight on me. I can't shake it, okay? And I woke up and I heard, you're going to be a widow. I heard it as clear as I'm speaking it right now. Am I lying? You could attest to this. 1 month before, many people don't know this. My church knows this because I've said it. But many people don't know this. 1 month before, and I got in the car and I called you, and I said, friend, I said, I heard something this morning, and I said, it seemed so real. I was like shaking in my voice, telling you. And you was like, well, I said, I heard I'm going to be a widow. You was like, man, no, that's the devil. We cast that down. You know, she went into word mode. And I remember I said, Pauletta, it felt so real. Is that not what I said? I said, it felt so real. But when you said that, once again, offering me hope, I was like, oh, okay, nah, that's the devil, da-da-da-da.
Right.
And 1 month later, I was.
So let's get it. I got some questions because we.
Okay, Chris, I forgot. Now, we started at 6:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we started at 6:30, so stop me at 7:15. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was thinking 6:45.
All right.
I'm
So
sorry.
describe your darkest moment.
It probably was that day that I've told y'all that I laid down and I made sure everything was in place.
I shouldn't ask that.
That I made sure I had all my wishes written out about who gets this, who gets that, where to go, well, basically Chris got everything, you know what I'm saying? But, still I was leaving money for my bonus son. I was leaving money for my niece and my nephew, for Diamond Clint. I had everything like, all my nieces, my nephews, act up, I'm gonna take you out. But I had everything, just you, Connie, T, I had all y'all, just had it all mapped out of what I wanted him to do with money. And how things were, I got everything straight. And I laid down and I didn't want to live no more.
How soon after?
Because this was so, I don't think people, because people see me moving, because people physically see me moving, I don't think people really understand the depth of the pain.
Because
it was
so many of us there too at the house.
I cannot explain. Like I can't explain it. And I guess what made it so painful is because at that point I felt like you don't want me to have nobody, God. You don't want me to have nobody. That's how I felt. Like you don't want me to have nobody. That's really where I was. So I think that's what made it hurt so bad.
Right.
Was because of that. But that probably was about maybe 3 months.
3 months after.
3 months after.
And think about, you're grieving not just Sean, but you're grieving everybody. That all of this grief
I'm grieving
is now.
Sean. I'm grieving the life that I thought I was going to have with Sean.
All of that.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm grieving the future that I was planning. So I don't think people understand that. Not only do you grieve the physical absence of a person, you have to grieve the life you thought you were going to have. Like this was it. I thought we was going to be growing old and, and sitting on the porch drinking coffee and grandkids and, the stuff we talked about. What we going, what we doing. We was such an amazing flow in our marriage too. It was just, our marriage had become so darn easy. And the lack of a better word to say, just easy. I can't explain that, but that's God. I see it now. How God's hand, it was just
and
easy.
That's a whole
other subject.
Right.
But our marriage had become so easy, because those early years, we had rough times. We didn't have rough times because of infidelity or anything like that. We had rough times because you had two very independent people coming together to make one. We both were successful on our own. We both had our own stuff. We both had been doing things our own way and doing well. And then to bring it together.
It was hard.
That was the hard part for us, was meshing those two
and
independent
in the same
worlds.
Current.
And both of us were type A personalities. Both of us was like, you ain't going, and you ain't, and you. We both was like that. And so it wasn't until somebody died that the relationship, not physically, but died to their own way, that we really hit a flow. And of course, I'm the one that's going to die. Most of the time, the women got to die. But, died to their own way and, just let things be. And then a lot of it, too, was me, and my trauma and not dealing with trauma and not really knowing how to receive love for real. You know what I'm saying? And I remember God literally used to say to me, let that man love you. Yeah, God, you say that to me. Let that man love you. And it wasn't until I said, that's another thing that made it hurt so bad.
That I
had finally let my guard down and allowed somebody to love me with no restraints. And they were gone. That's another reason why it hurt so bad. So it was that. But yeah, about 3 months after that, I laid down and I was like, I don't want to wake up.
So you wake up and you're like, okay. So
I woke up and I said, well,
you didn't take me.
You didn't take me, of course, because I'm talking to you
here.
But I remember vividly waking up and I said, if you because you woke me up, heal me. That was my exact words. I just keep saying this. And I couldn't imagine somebody losing their child. I couldn't imagine it. But when I tell you the gut-wrenching pain, that's the only way I can explain it. Because you got to think about it. When you all were over there, everybody was over there. People was taking turns coming into the room with me as I cried.
Because it was different.
It's like
for us.
tagging out.
But
Because
you know
I
what?
might just break out and just start screaming.
It was different for us.
Somebody
because
come in.
We've never seen you like that. So it was good. I think something broke in all of us because we no longer viewed you. Not that we did, as a robot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It forever
Yeah.
changed me.
Yeah.
I am not the same person.
Like I've never seen you in all of our
Ever.
years of friendship. I've never seen you that vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? And because you were vulnerable, like, and you gave into the emotions, and that was my greatest thing, and not just with you, but anybody that is grieving, that you lean into the emotions. So often we're just like, like I don't want to cry today. No, like this just happened, cry. Because what happens is if you don't cry, if you continue to suppress those emotions, one day it's going to be something just so simple, and
it's going to take you out.
it'll take you out of here. It'll
Yep.
take you out of here.
Yep.
And I'm gonna tell you, so and I know that it hasn't been easy. I know, because I know that you have moments. And so when you have those moments, because I know they're not as dark as that one 3 months afterwards, how do you get out of those moments? Like, what are some practical
I
things?
sit in it.
Okay.
I sit in it because at first, of course, I would try to, like after the funeral, after everybody was gone, and I remember maybe like the next week, because if you know Sean, he was loud. Even when he moved through the house, he was just loud. So now that he was gone, our house was deathly silent, right? Deathly, okay? And so I remember when I had to sit in that, like the silence. And I got up and I was like, oh, Chris, you got to call somebody. Like I was about to have a breakdown. I was like, you got to call somebody. And he called Connie. He was like, Connie, you got to come over here. 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 Mama needs somebody. And that was several times. She had to come. People had to come to spend the night because the silence. And I love quietness. But it was a different kind of silence. It was when I laid down in that bed and nobody was next to me, that was when reality, like when I had to keep doing that day, because I don't care. Sean always went to bed before me, but I don't care. He would go to bed like 8:30, but I was a night owl. I may come at 12.
Right.
He used to be saying I was trying to wait him out, but no, I was just a night owl. But anyway, I would get in the bed. I don't care what time it was. He gonna put his leg across me, like clockwork every time. So could you imagine the first night getting in that bed, and it's just me? So those were real moments. But I sat in my moments for the first time.
Yeah,
I actually felt it and didn't stop myself from feeling it. I didn't.
I know it's my friendship. I knew I loved you when, it was my turn to sleep. And I slept in the room with you, and I had to sleep on his side. I was just like, God, please don't let him come visit tonight. Please don't let him come visit tonight. 'Cause I ain't gonna be able to. When I tell you, I hardly slept that whole night because I was so scared. Because I'm scary anyway.
Because what he gonna do to you?
I don't know, just tap me on the shoulder. I don't know, but I was just like, God, please, Sir Jesus, don't let this man. But I know we just didn't want you to be by yourself. Being around people, does that help? Like, do you find yourself, okay, hey, I need to get around people?
It depends on your personality.
Okay.
Like some people may be your thing. You know what I'm saying? Some people, you may do better by yourself. But let me say this to me is like, quote unquote, like an introvert. Allow people in your space, because the more you allow people in your space, so that, because even those moments of having people around takes your mind off stuff. Like even though y'all was over there every day, I may go in my room and cry, but then when I come out, I'll laugh because y'all acting so crazy.
Right.
And Lawrence over there, and
Right.
everybody's acting so crazy. It made me laugh, and for a moment, it would take my mind off of stuff. So yeah, and having the people around you who's not necessarily feeling like they gotta talk a lot, but just who know the power of presence,
Right.
right? That
Right.
you don't have to be saying something. And you don't have to, then I hate when people feel like they got to make up something to say. Hush,
Right.
hush,
I think
just be present.
the
you
worst
know?
thing somebody could be like. I remember when my father died, people were like, I know what it's like. I'm like, no, your father drove you here. You don't know what it's like. So I think people say stuff and you be like, no, you don't. Just be present.
And let me say this, even if we may have had the same person to die, I still think sometimes it's different according to your proximity
and the
to that
dynamics
person.
of the
You
relationship.
understand? Like, if you were a child with a mother that you was close to, talked to every day, y'all was with each other all the time, your grief going to be totally different from a child who didn't have a relationship with their mother. Now,
Right.
they may be grieving of what never will be.
Right.
But the grief is going to be different. Even if you have a child. You know what I'm saying? I'm assuming if that's a child you're extremely close to versus a child that you estranged from, I'm sure the feelings have some kind of difference. You'll probably be dealing with grief and guilt. You know, so it's just, people always trying to measure. I just always think of a child, like that's something I never would wish on anybody, like losing your child, because I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't wrap my brain around that. I really couldn't. And then I'm just like, if anything hurt worse than that, I don't want to experience it. So
I think one thing that I know that you are self-aware. I can tell when I'm like, yeah, she may need to call, the therapist, because you get real antsy and short, but it's not about our
You
friendship.
better diagnose me. Now, what I had started, I did therapy for 1 year, didn't I?
Yeah, I think it was about
I
1 year.
think for the first 6 months, I did every week. And then the last 6 months, I did every other week. And then after that, I did just maintenance
Right, yeah.
sessions. And then I
Or when
started
something's
doing
life
whenever
changing.
something would change in my life, I would have a sec. Like when I started a new job, when I
Right.
quit my job, when I came off my job, doing the renovation of the church, or all of that, I would have a session every time something would change. When Chris went back, when
Right.
Chris left,
Right.
I just had sessions and stuff like that, like maintenance.
And I think it's good that you are self-aware. And so you'll say that, like, let me make a session or book a session or whatever. And you'll be like, you know what, I need to get out this house. Or like, what you doing, like,
Yeah.
less. And so I think that knowing, okay, like I feel, because you feel yourself plummeting. You know what I'm saying? You feel, even in your lowest state, you feel yourself going even lower. So to be so self-aware, to be like, okay, I need to talk to my therapist, so let me get around some
And
people.
when I used to be
let
like,
me
hey,
laugh.
y'all,
Yeah.
meet me for dinner, I need to laugh. And you need to, let me say that, find you some people who will rescue you in those moments. I don't care if it's one person. Hey, meet me for dinner. I just need to laugh. Meet me for lunch. I would do that. Hey, y'all, I need to laugh. Meet me for dinner. Hey, y'all, I need to laugh. Meet me for lunch. Or, hey, y'all, I'm coming over. I would get out and go over, more than my usual, because I would realize how deafening the silence would be, and how missed. And, you got to think about it. For 2 years, I moved nothing. I moved nothing. It was as if he was still there. His work boots were still at the door, at the bottom of the steps. Everything was the same. For 2 whole years, I moved nothing. I forced myself to move stuff.
Is there still more you have to do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's more I have to do.
Now, why haven't you done
Now,
it
it
up
don't
until
look
this-
like he's still there no
Okay,
more.
yeah, okay. That's
But,
what
I
was
mean, maybe to somebody might. But, I just started, I still haven't gotten rid of a whole lot of stuff.
Let's talk about Cece, and then I have one more question.
Okay.
So, explain who
Cece, my
Cece
dog.
was. And
Which was Sean's dog.
Which was Sean's dog, and we didn't want the dog because it was a wild. He was like a.
I never wanted the dog. It was a girl. I never wanted a dog because we was in the middle of moving, remember?
Yeah.
Getting ready to move. And so Sean, doing what he wanted to do, as Sean would do, shows up with the dog.
We was at Clint's
We was at
send-off.
Clint going off to the prom. He shows up with the dog after I had told him, don't get a dog. We don't need a dog right now. We getting ready to transition. And anybody know when you put a house on the market, anybody could want to see your house at any point in time, so you have to keep the house immaculate. So, you know, he brings that into that. So I just wanted to choke the life out of him. Okay, but anyway, I tried my best not to like Sierra, but I love dogs. And Sierra loved me from day one. You know, I wouldn't have nothing to do with her for the longest. You know, just trying to spite Sean. And then eventually, because I love dogs, I gave in. So, you know, literally she became my dog.
Right.
Because once I started standing up,
That was it.
Sean didn't do nothing else for her no more. For real, but try to boss you about her.
Right.
But he didn't do nothing for real. He didn't do nothing for real. He didn't feed her. He didn't do nothing. Like, it became me and Chris' dog, literally.
And so, tell us about how giving her away.
Yeah, well, at that point, I was traveling a whole lot more than I travel now. So I was gone a lot. And Chris was there for the 1 year. He was there with me 1 year, one whole year after Sean died. He stayed with me, and then he moved back to D.C. And so during that year, he was helping me a lot with her. You know, so if I was out of town, Chris had her. Sometimes me and Chris is out of town together, you know, and you couldn't board her. She bite the people. I couldn't take her nowhere. When I take her to get a bath, she turned the whole place out. It just was bad. She had extreme separation anxiety. And so I had finally thought I had found a place because Chris was getting me ready for his departure. And so we was trying so hard to find like a daycare. I mean, y'all, I spent thousands
On a dog.
on a dog. Training, daycare, oh God, anything you think of, thousands. Trying to keep her because she had become really like a comfort. And she was in the room with me when I got the call. And which Chris had to manhandle her and get her out of the house. And Sierra was on medicine for about 2 or 3 weeks for depression after Sean died. Everybody taking something. So even the dog, poor dog on something. Okay? And so, you know, so she really got super attached to me after Sean died.
And you got attached to her.
I got even more attached to her. And so, but then when Chris was getting ready to leave, we thought we had found somebody. Sierra bite 2 people. And they called us and they was like, gotta come get her. So I knew that was my last hope. Because how many people has she been through? Probably a good 10.
Yeah.
Probably for real.
Though, for real.
Like, that's how bad it was. And so I thought these people really were going to be good because they was patient with her because she had already bit somebody. But they forgave her and let her stay. And then this particular day, I don't know what was going on with Sierra, but she turned the place out. And we had to go get her. And they was like, she can't come back.
Can't come back.
And so Chris was like, Mama, she got to go. She got to go. She got to go. So we found, I put it out there that I was going to let her go. But I know the type of dog that Sierra was. I couldn't just give her to anybody. The breed that she was, her temperament, it really needed to be somebody that stay at home every day. It really needed to be somebody that probably work from home because you can't board her. You just can't, okay? So I knew that I couldn't just give her to somebody I know. I couldn't just give her to somebody because that's this person or that. I knew the kind of dog I had. And I knew, number one, it was expensive to take care of her. And I knew the type of temperament she has. She's a police dog. So I knew that it had to be somebody that could handle her. I can't explain Sierra. Like, it had to be somebody. So we found a guy that worked for the FBI, former Marine, worked from home. Come on. He was going through a divorce.
But that wasn't easy, making that decision.
It wasn't, but that was
Well,
God.
for Chris either, though.
And so when it was so my thing was, don't just come get her. Let's just spend weeks where we come to your house, you come to our house, bring the kids. We did that for weeks to just get Sierra. Sierra's so smart that she knew what was going on. And we would go over his house and sit, and she run around. Then he'd come over our house, she run around. We did that for weeks. And then it was time for Chris to get ready to go. And he was like, Mama, wrap it up. And so I wasn't there today because you knew I couldn't take it. I cried. I almost went backwards.
Why? Because of what?
Because I felt like I had let Sean down.
Okay.
I felt like I had let her down. I'm talking about I cried like a baby. And I thought I saw her the other day. And I be saying, God, don't let me see her. If I go to the park where they got the dog park at, I be begging God, don't let me. When I tell you them people gonna be like, something wrong. Because I'm gonna be on the ground. literally. So God has been faithful. Chris has saw her, because I mean, she's literally around in the other subdivision. Chris has saw her. The owner keeps videos and pictures coming. See, that's why I couldn't give her to anybody either, because she came with a contract. Like, he can't ever give her away. And he has to bring her back to me. And he has to send pictures, and like, that was in a contract, a legal contract. Okay, y'all can laugh. He signed it, and he adheres to it. So I knew everybody
don't
wasn't
adhere to it,
I knew
though.
everybody wasn't going to do that.
Right.
You understand? But he did it. He
Right.
signed it, and hey, yeah.
So let me ask you, how do you think the church handles grief?
Our church.
No, just churches in general, the church. And then we could talk about TPC.
Okay, Crystal.
Can we drink these or we need to wait?
Yeah, like
I don't want to
that
be
for decorations.
I don't want to be taking it to the head.
Okay, 5 minutes.
But
I'm sorry, y'all. Why you say that? And I don't want us to just talk about me.
I know, but I'm just
So
saying.
but I got a lot of grief stories, y'all. Who else you lost? I probably lost them too. No, I'm just playing, y'all. Laugh. But I don't want it to just be about me, even though I know I've experienced grief in so many different forms. But church sometimes can be unbalanced when it comes to grief. You know what I mean? Sometimes we could try to be super saved about it. You know what I'm saying? Be absent with the body. Don't send me no scriptures. I can't tell you how many scriptures and worship songs people sent me. Now ask me how many that I listened to. None. Ask me how many text messages with scriptures I read.
None.
None of them. I know God,
Very well.
but right now I'm hurting.
And it's okay.
And I don't want to hear that. And it's okay.
It's okay.
And I think people don't really understand, like, again, the power of presence. The power of presence. I know God. I know to be absent with the body is to be present with Christ. I know I'm going to see him again in the old by and by. But right now, today, my heart broke.
Right.
Right? My heart is broke. And I don't need you to be giving me no scriptures.
About he cares for the broken
I
hearted.
don't need you to preach to me. I don't need you to send me a worship song.
That's not where I am right
I
now.
don't need that. Right? And if people will understand the power of presence, the power of, if you need me,
I'm here.
call me, and don't say nothing else. Don't put John 3:16 behind it. All right? Don't put praying hands. Just say, if you need me, I'm there, and really be available to
And
be
mean
there.
it, and mean it.
Okay?
Because it sounds good.
It sounds
It
good.
sounds
I
real
don't
good.
need you to tell me nothing religious. I don't need you to tell me nothing that sounds super saved and super religious. My heart is broken. Just be present. And the power of presence. Because I don't think two critical things that were said to me during this time. First of all, my spiritual father, Bishop R.C. Blake, says, baby, let your heart break so God can heal you. Powerful. I'll never forget that. That stuck with me. He said, go ahead and let your heart break so God can heal you. That's number one. Number two, on my auntie, her scheduled visit in the room when I was crying, because everybody was tagging out. They couldn't stay long because they be crying. So, they was tagging
Can't
out.
stay too
So at this point, my aunt was in there, my Aunt Bob. She walked in, because she didn't even hug me. Because, she really ain't no hugger. But she didn't hug me or anything like that. We sat on the bed, and I just kept crying. All I could do was just call. Sometimes I would cry, and all I could do was just call Sean's name. And she just looked at me, and she said, it hurt, doesn't it? And I was like, yep. And she said, and guess what? All these people here, but you got to walk this out by yourself. That seemed cold, but she was so right. Those two things were very monumental things. Because when the funeral is over and everybody gone home and the calls and stops and the lilies stop coming to the house and, and all of that.
Not the spring lilies.
The lilies, you got to sit in that thing.
Yeah.
and realize that this is a new normal.
That's it.
And you know,
But you know what, hold up there. I think that's one of the biggest problems that a lot of people have is that they're trying to return to normal.
There is
normal
no
as it
return.
was
It
is
does
no
not
longer.
exist.
It's no longer. So it's about adapting to what is my new normal going to look like. And as long as you're still trying to hold on, like how can things be the same? Things are not the same.
Listen, Sean died at 5-something, I think 5:20, because I got it on my phone when I texted and said, what happened, what happened, what happened? It's like 5:20 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, August the 31st. Who I was on August the 30th
Is not.
was not who I was on September the 1st. Immediately, I became a different person. Not just in marital status, but my life changed overnight, literally. And I had to adjust to a new reality. And another thing, let me say this. Don't ask folks for folks stuff.
I see.
No, because that needs to be said.
I did.
It needs to be said because, yeah, let me say that. I have never in my life dealt with some people so insensitive and so selfish. People really, and I'm going to tell you something, in moments like these is when you really see who is for you, who love you, who care about you. You know, everybody who know my husband know he had a bunch of stuff. If you really knew him, you knew this. You had to know him to know it. He had anything you could think of. Every time doing the building project, we needed something. I go home and get it. Because I got it. What you need? What you need? A trolley, you need this. It was at the house. Everything you could think of, he had. Still, how much have I done anything with? Hardly nothing.
Hardly
People
nothing.
don't believe that, though. They probably say, oh, she giving it to her family. My family
No.
don't need that. My family got their own stuff. Okay? They don't need any of that. But the insensitivity of people asking me for stuff. I'm talking about my husband died Tuesday. By Friday, people was asking me for stuff they knew he had. I got folks that fell out with me over stuff
That my husband had.
that my husband had. And I'm sitting up in my head saying, do you not understand that my husband had a massive heart attack on the phone talking to me? And you asking me about stuff? I don't care nothing about this stuff.
Yep.
And so let me say that because people will do that. Please don't ask nobody about no stuff. Let them heal. Ask God to reveal your face to them or something later on. I mean, I got folks that fell out with me
Because it's
over stuff.
Over stuff.
Over my husband's stuff. It ain't yours. I can do what I want to do with it. But I really don't have a problem with giving anybody anything. But I was just like, let me heal. Please.
At least.
Let me heal.
At least. Give me
Please.
that. Give me that.
But folks don't care.
They don't.
And you really see the heart of people when you lose somebody. You really, really do. And I'm trying to tell you, my family was my rock. My family, you know, when I say family, we don't even consider you friends. Okay. You know, when I say family, my family, if I did not have my family, y'all don't know, y'all don't understand. My family showed up for me in ways that, April and Kenny upstairs in the bedroom, Connie and Ed upstairs in the bedroom, this person in the bed. It was about 25 people at my house sleeping, staying. Everybody was scared to leave me alone. People was in shift. I'm going to take a shower and get me some clothes while these people stay. I'm going to go do. Y'all don't have an idea. Them laughing, them talking, them playing games, it was medicine. It was medicine. So, yeah, like, let people grieve. That's the most selfish thing in the world, to ask somebody about some stuff when their life has totally changed.
Especially within the week of
Overnight,
of the death.
in 90 days, in 6 months.
Yeah.
Hush.
Don't say
when they
nothing.
get ready to give it away,
Let them offer.
they'll call you or they'll say something.
Or put it out there.
Or when they get ready to part with it. Do you realize for the first 3-4 months, I couldn't even sit in Sean's truck? Do you remember that? I couldn't physically sit in his truck.
And see, and that's what I'm saying.
And people don't know that because people think
They see
movement
this.
is healing.
Right, but it's not.
They think because you're moving that you're healed. No, sweetheart, I'm moving because I don't have any other choice.
I gotta move. But I'm dragging, but I'm moving.
Yeah.
But okay, so a couple more things. This is okay.
Oh, we good.
All right. So
good.
let me ask you this. How do you see any positive things? And I know that's so weird.
Of course I do.
That came out of Sean's death. Like I know if my father dying is what allowed me to walk in ministry. I think if my mother would have died first, I wouldn't even be here. I'd still be in New York with my daddy. So I see now. I couldn't see it then, but years later, and that in itself helped me in grieving in the healing process, because understanding, okay, God, I'm looking at the bigger picture now. I'm no longer just looking at the fact that I lost my daddy, but I'm seeing this had to happen so that this could happen.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I'm very careful when I say stuff like that as it relates to Sean's death, because I don't never want somebody to translate it as dishonor. So I'm very careful about what I say. But I know without a shadow of a doubt some things can't live unless some things die.
Because what was that in the year Uzziah died? Oh,
I saw the Lord.
That's-
And that's true.
yeah. I mean, I'm just saying,
That's
because
true.
up until then,
I can really identify with that, and I have to watch what I say, like I say, because one thing I'll never do is dishonor.
Right.
But the thing of it is I'll forever have the testimony that somebody really loved me and loved me well and treated me well, upgraded my life, upgraded my desires, upgraded what I know I deserve. Right? And so that can never be changed. If I never love again, I'll always have the reference that I was loved unconditionally and I was loved well. Right? And that's why I'm the way that I am now. I won't accept anything less. I'm not being unreasonable. You know what I'm saying? It's just the truth. I know that when somebody love you, and let me say this, I know that when somebody wants you,
okay.
number one, ain't nothing gonna stop them from coming and
Yeah.
getting you
Yeah.
if they really want you and they see you as necessary, right? They see you as necessary, and that's what I said to my congregation. I don't want to be in anybody's life who don't see me as a necessity, right? Because we would always say to each other, Sean would say to me, I'm living the way I'm living because of you. He said, because I didn't care nothing about, I would have been right where I was. He was like, but you made me want greater. And I can say, I never went back to school. I never would have done the things that I did and accomplished the things that I did had not I seen you do anything.
Right.
I wouldn't be living the life I'm living had not you brought me into that kind of living. So we understood the necessity for each other in our life. And that's what I'm saying. It's not perfection, but I don't want to be in anybody's life who don't see me as a necessity. So it taught me so much. I'm a different person. I'm a different woman. I view life differently. I value life differently. Experiences, people, moments, everything. I'm not the same. I'm not the same. I'm literally not the same. So that's the powerful thing about it. It also pushed me further into purpose because I understand how that life is just a vapor. And how much more I pursue purpose because I want to die empty. So It affected me in a lot of positive ways. And every time I run into somebody that know him, you know what I'm saying? Like the things people say about him. You even how crowded his funeral was. You know, like, oh my God.
Yeah, I want my
Okay?
funeral like that.
Yeah, like, oh my God. When I turned the corner, I was
I
like,
do.
oh
do,
my
yeah.
God. All the waterworks out there, waterworks showed out.
They did.
You
They
know,
did.
and every time I post something about him, people from the waterworks be like, oh my God, we miss the mark that he made without even trying to make it. Because you know his personality, but just being Sean, authentically himself. And I always say at the core of him, he was such a good
He was.
person.
He was.
That's the only thing I say. Now,
He
I always
was.
talk about Cliff Perry, reminds me a
Yeah.
lot of him. Just
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just good. Just a good person. You know, and that's what I think about. So, you know, yeah.
Okay.
Look how TPC
Yeah.
just blew up. You know, after. Not that we ain't had nobody before, but
Right.
I mean, you know, I was like, oh God, the man gone. Oh Lord, ain't nobody, you know, I'm gonna be single. Nobody gonna come to this church. But look what God has
Right.
done.
Right.
Look
right.
what God has done and how Sean supported. If Sean hadn't have did what he did, there would be no TPC. Even though, like, for you and I were the one who laid the groundwork of
Right.
TPC. Now, he ain't lay no groundwork. let's be real. He ain't do none of that. All the paperwork, all the behind the scenes. Come on now, let's tell the truth.
Yeah.
That was us.
Yeah.
That was us, and I will always honor Apostle Nakiki Clark because she reached out to me and asked, what did I need? And she helped.
With the bylaws.
She helped. I always honor her for that. And we took it, you and I, you know. But when it came to this
That was all Sean.
was Sean.
That was all Sean.
When it came to putting your name on the line, all Sean. TPC wouldn't be what it would be without him because he was the money man. He was signing, signing and committing, you know, and making it happen. So, yeah.
Okay. Crystal, do we have any questions before I go to 7? Okay, so I want to go over real quick the 7 stages, and you just let me know what stage you're in now. And if you...
Just tell people the stage. I'm just kidding.
what stage you're in, and then have you found yourself going back, okay? The first stage is shock and denial. You know, that's going over the initial, like, it really happened, no, it didn't happen, he's not dead, you know, that's what that is. Then you have the pain and the guilt, you know, of actually it's settling in, like...
Because you always
really
think
gone.
about what you could have done.
Yeah.
Because I think about I should have took him to the emergency room. I should have made him go to the emergency room. I thought of all kinds of things. I should have did this because I kept saying, I'll take you. He was like, no, baby, I'm good. I should have made him go. You think of so many different, I could have, I should have, I would have. Yeah.
Then you have anger and bargaining, where you are, you're angry at the fact this person got, but then you're also bargaining like, well, I could do this, if only I could do this to bring them back, or, you know, whatever like that. Depression, and then after depression is the upward turn.
That's where I am.
The upward turn? Okay. And then 6, well, I don't know.
Describe the upward turn.
Upward turn is like, I've accepted it, I sat in it, now I'm starting to realize I need a new normal, and what does it look like? Okay? Then after that, after the upward turn, you have reconstruction and working through.
Oh, I'm at reconstruction.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And
I'm at
then I don't know, see? And then the last one is
And I believe you can dance in between some stages. You know what I mean? But yeah.
the last one is acceptance and hope.
Child, I might be at acceptance.
That's
and
what
hope.
I'm saying. That's what
Oh
I'm
no!
saying.
I don't know. Because some days I'm like, and then some days I'm like, my life's so peaceful. It is. Like when I tell you, I live a peaceful life. And for me to compromise this level of peace that I have, yeah. Like,
So you think 7,
yeah, I would say dancing between 7 and 8.
7 and 8.
Reconstruction
No, just 6 and 7.
Oh, I'm sorry, 6 and 7.
You did add a whole
Reconstruction
three.
and I'd have added another
You
step.
add a whole other stage. Reconstruction and working through is 6. And number 7 is acceptance and hope.
I think I'm in between.
Okay.
But I'm definitely, I don't know, like Probably more 7. What you think?
I was
You
gonna
around
say,
me?
I would say acceptance and hope. You know,
Yeah.
but I think sometimes you'll slip back into depression. You know what I'm saying? And when I say that, I mean, and it won't be for a long period of time, but I feel, and I could be off in
No,
my.
I ain't gonna be like, I don't. No,
I
like,
just,
yo, no, I will. No, I'm like, okay, like I'm looking at you like, what you talking about?
I think,
Why you gotta be saying that? But no, that's real.
But I think
That's
there are
real.
moments. I think you have moments of depression, and I think some of it, is other stuff. But I think Sean is
Yeah,
is
I'm
mixed in
gonna
there.
tell you when moments of I don't know if I could even call it depression.
Okay.
I don't know what another word for it at this time.
Extreme
Sadness.
sadness, extreme
yeah,
sadness. Okay.
let's say that.
Okay.
It's probably when I gotta do something, when something going wrong at the house.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I cringe. When something go wrong with my
With the car.
cars, I cringe. Like I cringe because I just be like, why I gotta, even with this church, how we got screwed over by so many contractors.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't have happened if he was living. I'm telling you, it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened. You'd have heard about him in the city. It wouldn't have happened. So that protection that he provided, sometimes I get sad about that. Like, because as a woman and as a single woman, I know there's times I've been taken advantage of because I don't know. Right? And I've trusted people, who said they was gonna do something, be it here at the church and at my home, that I know that didn't do me right because I was a woman, a single woman. So, and that sometimes make me sad because I know, like I know my name, Andrea, that wouldn't have happened on his watch.
Right.
That wouldn't have happened. So even the building project, I was like, why you got me doing this and he gone?
Right.
When he could, because he used to go with me when I would show houses. And he would be standing outside and he'd be like, that roof ain't good. He could call it out. He could just look at that roof ain't good. Something wrong with that, right? Like, it'd be crazy. He could call it out. And so I knew if he had been here then,
That.
he would have been calling it out. He would have known what to do. And so that sometimes make me sad when I gotta take my car by myself and the risk of them lying.
That made me sad, and I
and
ain't
making
never
up
been married.
stuff that's wrong with the car. And
Right.
heck, I don't know.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So I'm straight winging it,
Right.
and that's when I get sad. Like,
Right.
those are the moments that I just be like, this is really my life.
Right.
Like, I'm navigating this by myself.
And I'm gonna say this, like sitting, on the sidelines and walking with you and through with you, like your bounce back, is much quicker. Like there were times when you would hit the bottom, and you may stay there for a day or so, But now I'm noticing your bounce back is quicker.
I have moments
You know what I'm
now.
saying? Yeah.
I used to have days.
Yeah.
I used to have weeks.
Yeah.
And those weeks turned into days. Those days turned into moments. I still have moments,
And you will.
But they're not nearly as much, And even like I think about when it comes to dating, like will a person be comfortable if I bring him up? You understand what I'm saying? Or if I mention him. Like, are you going to be acting like I'm talking about another man that I'm going to go meet?
Right.
Baby, he gone. So even in that, because I know haphazardly, I'll mention him. You understand what I'm saying? So even in that, I know whoever God has for me has to be patient and see me as necessary. You understand what I'm saying? For
Your
that
inbox
reason.
gonna be blowing up. I see
No,
you necessary.
no. Because
You're necessary to me.
No,
you know,
anyway.
but-
Some people want the experience of you.
Because I am an experience.
They just want to be able to say they experienced
Right.
you. You know what I'm saying? Then you got another set of people who just wanted to be first. But they don't really want you for real.
You don't want me for
Because they got to understand the gravity of everything that comes with you. You know, understand what I'm saying? People just, they don't want it. I'm going to just leave
Baby,
it at
you don't
that.
want to do nothing.
They
You
don't
don't
want
want
it.
to
They
do
don't want to do
nothing.
nothing.
You don't want to do nothing.
Because if they want to do it, you wouldn't be having that conversation. They'll be doing it. So,
I
hey,
see by your little
moving right
actions.
along.
So, okay, so I would say, to navigate grief, there's no particular blueprint, there's no formula, but I think the ingredients of what could go in the pot would definitely be therapy.
Therapy, I can't stress that enough. I should have gotten therapy when my oldest sister died. Because that was a difficult death. I should have gotten therapy when my grandmother died, who raised me. Right? I should have gotten therapy when Miss Ruby died, my mentor. Then my little sister died. Then I navigated with see, this is what people don't know. Sean died August 31st, 2021. Sean's mom died September 2020. Sean's dad died December 2019. All right? Boom, 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 boom. And I walked him through all of that. All right? So throughout our relationship, we walked each other through a lot of loss. Right? And so when I was saying that, I was saying to God, you don't want me to have anybody because I'm the only sibling left. I'm the only person in my household growing up left. You know what I mean? And so that's why I was just like, dang. That was where that anger stage.
Yeah.
Like,
Nobody?
nobody? Then I'm mad because I got to start all over again. You know, you're just going through all these phases and it's a fool out here.
What?
You know what I'm saying?
That's
so,
another.
you know, like, why would you drop me in this foolishness?
Right.
You know, so many different things, you know, go through my head. But I would tell anybody, I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you know God. I don't care how much scripture you got. I don't care how long you walk with God. Go
To therapy.
and go to somebody who don't know you personally. Because when I would sit in my therapy session, I wasn't Pastor A. I was Lynn.
And, you know, I had people ask, like, Pauletta, why you didn't, you know, counsel Pastor? I'm like, first of all, because we would have been crying together. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who the counselor, who the
go
client.
to therapy.
So it was good. And then I'm going to say this. Also, your surroundings, you know, having, like you said, family. And even if you don't have family, like friends that you can have as a support system. I also think, I think you traveling. I think that's a form.
Yeah, I made it my business to live too. That was one thing, because like when I think on our anniversary, the very first, let me say this, the toughest thing is getting through your first. The first birthday, the first anniversary,
That first year.
Christmas, the first, that's the.
And you really don't start grieving until all
the first is over. And that is the gospel truth. Because you're bracing yourself. For every first, you brace it. You brace it. You brace it. You know, and then like that first, I remember he wanted to go to Spain. So I said, I'm going. And so I started this thing of like trying to figure out what's near wherever I'm going. So I can clear two places at the same time.
Right.
So me and Chris ended up going to Rome, to Madrid, Spain, and Rome, Italy. You know, and I remember waking up in Rome. I woke up in Rome on my anniversary, me and Chris. But Chris was just around, but I wept. I was in Rome. I cried so hard. Oh, my God, I cried so hard, cried for hours. And then I was like, Chris, I got to get up. Let's get up. Let's get out. But I was proud of myself because I went. You know what I'm saying? That's why I travel so much now, because I'm like, everything we said we were going to do, we can't do.
Right.
But guess what? I'm going to do
I'ma
it.
do it.
And I'm not waiting on anybody to take me. I'm not waiting on anybody to go with me. I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
You know, every chance I get. Because life ain't going to owe me nothing when I close these eyes.
Right.
Nothing. I'm going to be the win everywhere, done everything I wanted to do. So that's another thing I say. Live. I can't say that enough.
I would think also, so we got counseling, support system, traveling, and I would say purpose.
Make a decision to live. And that's purpose as well. Make a decision to live. make a decision. I had to make a decision because you can decide whether you're going to sit or whether you're going to live. But one thing's for sure, life going on.
Right.
Whether
With or
you
without you.
participate with it going on
With or
or
without
you
you.
just go sit somewhere.
Right.
But I would tell anybody, get therapy. And especially if you lost a child, a spouse. I'm talking about if it was a very, very difficult death, get therapy. And sometimes you may have to go through a couple of therapies before you find the one that's best for you too. Because I had to do that. Like it took me a couple of them. And I was like, oh, they ain't talking about that. Until I got to the one that I just
Gelled with.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's okay. Don't let one bad experience
Cause
stop you. And then let me tell you something. Go into therapy looking to get something out of it. Because a lot of people are like, it ain't do nothing for me. Because some
Your
folks
attitude and your
want to be
approach.
sad.
Yeah.
I don't want you to carry grief as a banner. That's the reason why I told you it was hard for me. I didn't want to do this because I don't want to be the poster child for grief. I don't want everybody to be like, oh, she lost her. Oh, she lost. Oh, I don't want that. You understand what I'm saying? Now, some people love that because
Yeah.
they carry it as a badge for people to
And
feel
then it's a
sorry
level
for
of
them.
attention.
Yeah, and to get attention
Yeah.
and pity, and all of that, and God bless the child. Okay,
As
God bless
God
the
is
child.
old.
But I'm like, I don't want to be the poster child for grief. I want to be the poster child for victory. That you saw me walk through it and you saw me I'm talking about it was an evolution. Like I'm a different person.
Right.
And of course, I'm glad that I've been an inspiration for people. I get that all the time. I watched you. I lost my husband, blah, 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 So I appreciate that part of it, But, I don't want to be like, put me on a stamp, put me on a postcard, for people who lost people.
Has
No.
to be about grieving.
Yeah.
Okay,
Crystal,
do we have a
we're doing
question?
these questions and then we're done.
Yeah,
We're
'cause this-
12 minutes over our time.
We actually have 2 questions. So the first one is from Nikki. She says, should Christians feel guilty for carrying the feeling of anger during their grieving stage when they know God's plan is his plan?
No, because I think that's a natural step.
Yeah, we're human.
We're
Yeah.
human. There's a natural step. There is a reason why the Garden of Gethsemane is documented. God could have left that out. He could have not said anything about that because Jesus was in the garden by himself. So that means that God had to inspire somebody to write that because they didn't know what happened because they weren't in the garden. But God thought it necessary to inspire another man to write what happened in a place that he never witnessed with his eyes. Because the Bible clearly said they were what? Sleep. So how was they able to tell the story?
Right.
But God saw it necessary to inspire them to tell the story of Jesus wanting to not follow through. Jesus probably was a little angry with the weight of what he was carrying.
Yeah.
First of all, let's bag it all the way back. Jesus didn't volunteer to come to earth. The Bible says God what?
Sent.
Him. He was drafted. And he probably was like, so this what you sent me to do?
Right, like-
the Bible says you don't have a Savior who don't feel as you feel.
Right.
So I think that's when I say we can be too deep. I think anger is a natural
It
feeling.
is.
But this is what I say, don't stay there.
Right. But the Bible says to be angry and sin not.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah,
act on
like
the
I
anger.
can be angry, but don't be wrong punching people
Right,
and throwing
walls
stuff
and-
and whatever. Sin not,
Right.
sin not, sin not.
Sin not.
But definitely anger is an emotion. It's a natural emotion.
And I'm gonna say it's a healthy emotion.
yeah, I was just like, you got me to say yes to this church.
And then you do this.
And then you allow my husband to be taken. Yeah, I was mad. I'm going to be honest with you. Because contrary to what people say and tell you, I never wanted to do this. You know it because you walked through me through every step. Did I want to do this?
No.
How often did I used to cry
All
when
the
somebody
time.
would say something about it?
All the time.
I never wanted to do it because I didn't want to deal with church folk.
Right.
All right? And I'm like, God, you get me to say yes.
And then
And then you do this to me? Yeah, that was anger.
so
But I
it's
had to
healthy.
learn something. I'm going to say this publicly. Never said it publicly, but I'm going to say it tonight. I'm going to say it tonight because I think it's going to free somebody. When there is a divine purpose on your life, God will never allow you to lose what's necessary for your future.
Say that again.
When there is a divine purpose on your life, God will never let you lose what's necessary for your future. Does that diminish Sean? No. No. It means that God set me up for my
Very well.
future. Because had I not ever experienced Sean, I might not have ever desired at the level that I desire. I might not have ever been aware of my value like I am now. It's because of him that I got that. He was definitely sent, right? And long life doesn't necessarily mean purposeful life.
Right.
Long life doesn't necessarily mean fulfilled life. And that's something else we have to come to. Because Jesus was here 33 years.
Yeah, I was about to say, long
and
life
he's
doesn't mean
impacted every person on the planet.
Right.
In 33. 33.
Well, really just 3 years because it's really
and your grandma 83 still
It is.
raising hell. I'm just saying. But I'm just saying that to say, yes, anger is natural.
Yes.
Absolutely. Don't be too deep that you. I had to say to God, because at first, church had me where I didn't feel comfortable to say I was angry with God. Because I was like, now I'm in a place in my life and I don't
You
need
gonna
to
be
be
like-
saying. Yeah. And then one day I said, God, I'm mad at you. I remember saying that. I'm hurt. And you know what he said? I know.
Right. He know you, man.
Literally, he
Right.
said, I know. Right? But I had to sit in there and be honest about the way that I felt. Next one.
The next question is from Miss Nikki. She said, was there a reason you did not seek counseling with the other deafs? And is this a mistake that a lot of Christians make thinking that they don't need a therapist?
Absolutely, it's a mistake. Absolutely, it was a mistake. You know, this is the thing with me. And like Pauletta said, number one reason why Sean's death hurt me so bad was number one, I mean, clearly that was my husband. And you share something with a spouse that you don't share. There's an intimacy. And I ain't just talking about the bed, but oh God, we thank you. You know, I'm not just talking about the bed, but oh God, we thank you. Oh God, we thank you. Oh, hata, keto, roku, ra. Anyway, y'all know what I'm speaking to. But we're not just talking about the bed, but there's a level of intimacy you share with a spouse
Right.
that you share with nobody else.
Right.
Okay? And so, of course, you know, that broke me. But it was also the culmination of every other death that I never grieved. Because every other death, I had to go in management mode.
And
My
therapy wasn't even an option.
my older sister's body is in the bed cold, and I'm out on the porch signing papers to take custody of my nephew.
Right.
She hadn't even been picked up. Because he's a minor, he would either had to go into custody of the state unless somebody signed for him. I'm on the porch with
Wow,
her
my
body
sister.
cold, but I got to sign some papers.
Going in management mode.
Or he was going to be in state custody.
Right.
You know I wasn't finna let that happen.
Right.
Okay? So I couldn't even, I remember people crying, screaming and hollering, and I'm rubbing their back in my sister's house while her body in the room cold. I couldn't
So
even
what?
cry because I'm in management mode. You understand what I'm saying? So every other death, Sean mom died, I handled everything because he was no good. Sean dad died, he went to Dallas, his sister and brother can tell you, he was no good. Literally, like no good. I did everything. Okay? So, you know, I mean, managing. Everything was management. You know, and I never had a chance, but this one knocked the breath out of me. And it made
crippled
me
you.
sick. It crippled me.
It did.
But it was a good, it was
a
good that I was afflicted. No,
Yeah,
no, for real.
No, for real.
No, for
For
real.
real.
Because
I'ma preach
people
that.
don't understand it didn't just heal me from that. It healed me from every loss that I had put a Band-Aid on.
When I that
From
pain
every hurt that I
is
had put a
ripping the
Band-Aid
Band-Aid
on.
off.
Yeah.
That Band-Aid was
And it
ripped off.
made me face it. And it was
Each
good
one.
for me. It was good for me because it changed me for the better.
Now, you got 30 days to preach that, or?
You got it.
Oh, okay.
You
I
got
thought
it.
you would say I was going to preach that, Crystal.
Yeah, preach it, Crystal.
Tina says, so would you say the brokenness was a blessing in disguise?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now it hurt. It hurt.
And that doesn't take away the pain or the breath of the hurt.
I can't explain it. I'm talking about, you ever had your heart broke? Like, I ain't talking about with no man now.
Oh.
That's because that's what you I'm just talking about, like, y'all, it's like you can feel it in your natural heart. And like, I remember some days I would just be like, oh God, it hurts so bad. I would just cry, and all I could say was, it hurts so bad. Oh God, this hurts so bad. That's all I could say some days. I would just weep. And I just couldn't explain how my literal heart,
Was broken.
ooh,
Okay.
no, you don't hear me. I'm talking about broken. But God, COVID was a blessing because I didn't work. Sean was the only one who went out of the house. We had dinner together every day, the whole entire span of COVID. Something we was never able to do because we was always so busy. We was passing each other. COVID sat us down, and we had memories that we never would have had if time didn't stand still. Because God knew the very next year he would be gone. You understand what I'm saying? Even Chris having to come home and do that last year of Howard at home, it made Chris be at home with me. If Chris wasn't there, I would have been in the house by myself.
We would have still been there.
Do you understand how strategic God is? I'm trying to tell you, in the darkest room, there is a God moment in it.
Yeah.
But you got to find it.
You have to find it.
I said, what if I had been there by myself? I probably would have killed myself or still be there today, rolling around on the floor.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Or having to just be there because I live behind God's back. It's going to take something about an hour to get to me. You understand what I'm saying? So just how strategic God is.
But that takes a level of spiritual maturity to look outside of the pain.
And let me say that to whoever's watching. I want to challenge you tonight. I want to challenge you to look outside of the pain and find the goodness of God. Because it's there. But you gotta want to find it.
Yeah.
And you got to ask God to open your eyes. Because even in the worst pain, there is some goodness that can be found in it.
And let me
You
tell
understand
you,
what I'm saying?
looking-
And you got to find it.
Looking outside of the pain doesn't necessarily mean I'm not gonna hurt
Denying
anymore.
the pain.
Right. Because I want to make sure that that's clear. It's not, but it's a matter of, okay, I know this pain is here, but I know that there's something greater. And if I just focus on the pain, I'm going to miss the greater. So that's what it means to step outside or look outside the pain. It's to acknowledge the pain. Because in order for me to look outside the pain, I have to acknowledge that there is something to look outside of. You know what I'm saying? So looking
Wow, that's
outside of the
good.
pain is simply saying, I have this pain here, but, let me look over here and let me look at the bigger picture. Because the pain is not the bigger picture, but we've made the pain the bigger picture.
Wow, that's good. That's good.
Is that it,
okay,
Crystal?
y'all. Huh?
Because what we going to talk about on part 2?
I mean, we talked a whole
we
lot
get-
about me. Don't you
yeah.
think we talked a whole lot about me?
Yeah.
So I guess we could just talk about grief,
Okay.
as a whole. We could talk about different things that you grieve.
Okay.
Because like I was saying, not only did I grieve my husband, I had to grieve my future. The future that I had planned. So even in relation, because I've been divorced. My first marriage, I was divorced. And so that was like a death.
It was.
I remember the grief that was attached to that. So there's grieving that goes with divorce. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
We so
yeah.
such with Saratoga.
Yeah, Saratoga. Y'all need to call me to do a promotion. Sponsorship. All right. But I'm thankful to Quake, who's up there. I think Lads is up there. Charlotte's up there. Dez is up there. Crystal is up there. All we did was tell them we wanted to do this. And baby, they lights, camera, action. They had it set up. And so I'm so grateful and thankful for them. Thankful for everybody that tuned in tonight. Listen, share this. If you believe that this can bless somebody, share this, but let me be if I am a testament to anything as we close tonight, let me be a testament to the other side of this thing. That there is another side to it. Okay? And all I can say to you with every fiber of my being is make a decision to live. Okay? Thank y'all.
All
You
right,
good?
that we good.
Good night, y'all.
Good night, y'all.